How is everybody doing? I know that everybody is muted, so you can wave at me. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes as people keep clicking on. How's everybody doing? So be patient as folks log in and behold the bobcat that I shot. So I'll say this again when everyone that I know is logging on is logged in, but the everything that we talked through today on this webinar will actually be, I'll send out all the slides to everybody, and I have already uploaded, and I'll upload the video of this meeting. It's recording now. I will upload it to our YouTube page, and I have a couple of links that I'll be emailing out. The video file from our conversation on Tuesday with CSP and Sarah Green, and that'll go out after this call. So getting that information out to you folks. So just bear with me as that comes out after our call today. Hi, Desa. Kyle, I envy you right now because I have to get a haircut. Yeah, I could have that, but I don't look good bald, Kyle. I look like Uncle Fester.
Oh, he unmuted me.
I did. I was talking to you.
Well, I heard you, but I was gonna say I don't know that you would look good no matter what. But
well, there's truth in that statement. You can't polish a turd, as they say, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute myself here real quick.
Okay.
Howdy, Eric.
Okay, it looks like we are at 1 o'clock. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started as I have a lot of slides to get through and information to give you. It may seem like we're drinking from a fire hose at times, and I want to apologize ahead of time for that. But I want to make sure that you get as much information as you can and as many tools as you can. I also realize that we've been in this COVID-19 world here for a few weeks now, going on a month almost. And so there may be some tools you're already aware of that you have. Maybe I'm giving you information that you already know about, and that's okay. I expect that. But if you, at the end of this, if you have any details or resources that you think would be valuable that I didn't share, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I'll make sure everybody gets access to those as well. Well, let me get started. If you're not aware of who I am, you've never seen this mug before, my name is Eric Joppa. I am the executive director of Sea Snow, and I'm working from my den / basement / man cave. So bear with me as you'll see me moving around, and hopefully you won't hear any of my dogs barking or children coming down to bother me, but that is kind of the world we're living in. So knowing that we have to work with folks that are out in the world doing their thing, we don't know where they're going or what they're touching. They don't know what we're doing and what we're touching. And right now, it's actually a really big deal to limit interaction and being in physical space with individuals. So with that being the case, we have to figure out new ways to do some certain things. If you are leading a CAA or working at an action agency, you have intake processes that you go through with clients every time somebody comes in, and you're touching things they touched, and you're interacting with people, and they're interacting with you. And so in order to kind of stop the spread, we've got to change some things that we're doing. And so I'm going to walk through some things that are just some tips and tools that you can use as you're conducting services remotely, and even if you've got your doors still open, as many of us in Wyoming do. So our next slide here is this. These are the things that you already know. Okay, these are the things that you already know, things that are already happening in your world. That why is that not working? It should be, well, I don't know what in the world this is doing here. I should not have used PowerPoint. That's really what's going on. Let me get this going here. Pardon me for the technical difficulties. All right, let's see if this works. No, it's not going to let me utilize all that stuff. Well, see, the beautiful thing about putting this on the internet is I'll be able to edit all this junk out. All right, fine. Pardon me, I'll fix this really fast. That should have worked. All the animations that I put into this to make it look like I was cool is really fouling everything up. So pardon me as I remove all of those animations so that you can actually see the slides themselves. All right. Okay. Here we go, take 3. So these are the things you already know. Clean everything that you have in your office that people touch. Clean your doors, clean your windows, clean your door handles, clean anything that people are going to come in contact with, just clean it. Now, of course, there's a shortage of cleaning supplies because before now, nobody cleaned apparently. And so now everybody is cleaning like crazy. So if you don't know where to find Clorox bleach wipes or Clorox in a bottle or regular bleach in a big bottle, if your stores are out, I've included here a recipe for a home disinfectant. I do want to warn anybody on here, if I want a disclaimer, my wife uses essential oils. I know essential oils are great things, but in this time, I just want to encourage you not to consider essential oils a good enough acting disinfectant. I want to encourage you to use alcohol or bleach, something that is definitely going to kill living organisms. That's kind of the idea. So essential oils add a great smell to things, and I know there are things associated to essential oils. I don't want to bemoan essential oils, but I want to encourage you to use actual chemicals in this process. And then obviously you want to utilize personal protection equipment, masks, gloves, that kind of thing. Of course, there's a shortage of those things, but I want to just kind of share with you a few places that you can go to get gloves that you may not think about or may not have thought about. You can actually get latex gloves and nitrile gloves from Walmart or Target. You may still find them if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards. Those kind of places will have those kind of things as well. Look in the paint department as you're doing things. Ace Hardware, thank you, Sarah, has a ton of things that will aid in that stuff. A lot of times you'll find things in the paint department that will help you. I think you're probably going to have a bit of trouble finding masks. You can make those. You can use bandanas on your face. There's a lot of videos out there that you can use to get those things. You may just end up finding that you stumbled onto an aisle that people weren't really widely aware of to get gloves and masks and things like that, and you might be the lucky one. So utilizing those things will make a big difference. So if your doors are open, people are coming into your office, you want to limit contacts. So if you have maybe a lobby area, make sure you lock the doors into your office area, your work environment where people are coming in. And then every time somebody comes in and comes out, wipe down all the surfaces that they touch. Make sure your staff has PPE and things like that. If you can, don't allow people who are out in the world doing their thing to come into your office space. Find a way to intake without that interaction. It does feel difficult when we're working to help people. Sometimes they don't have the tools they need to get us what we need, and we're going to walk through some of those things in terms of intake forms and signing affidavits and things like that we have to do as we're offering services to folks. But do your best to limit that interaction. You're working from home. Most of us here are working from home or have office space that we're probably limited or lesser staff as we're trying to limit the spread of things. And so here's some online resources for meeting with your staff. Obviously, here we are on Zoom. This is a resource that is being really widely used. You will note that there have been hackings and hijackings of Zoom meetings. Folks can't really just hack Zoom and hack your meeting. But they may be able to hack your email and your calendar and things like that as you surf the web and find your calendar invites or your meeting notes and how to get into your Zoom meetings and things like that. And so people are regularly having to make sure that they're not sharing their Zoom login information widely. So when I send something out, when CSNO sends something out, we're asking you not to share the link. We're trying to send the link to everyone we know needs it so that we can limit that the chances of somebody hijacking what we're doing in our meetings as we are doing our best to get information and help out to folks. So WebEx is a similar platform to Zoom. And right now, and after this webinar, I'm going to send this out. But right now, AT&T is offering a free 90-day trial for WebEx. And so I'll send the link out to that page. So you actually might be able to utilize WebEx for free during your COVID stuff. And it might be just that you won't have to sign up and pay for a membership that way if you don't already have a platform that you pay for and you use, if you have to conduct meetings, those kind of things. If you are an Office 365 user, if your office has the Office 365 suite, there is a tool in Office called Teams that is similar to Zoom, where you can do video calls with people. You can, in fact, that's one of the tools that our office is using during this season. So Microsoft Teams, obviously the Google Suite, you can do Google Meetups and Hangouts and things like that. There at google.com. Those are valuable tools for meeting and conducting meetings with your staff and things like that. Another resource is Jive. Jive is a similar cloud service that you can use on mobile platforms, and you can do phone teleconferencing and those kind of things. I'm sending out all of these links after this, so you'll get an email. If you registered for the webinar, you'll get an email, and you can feel free to share this as widely as you want, any of these links. Jive has a mobile app and a desktop app and a contact center So you've got a lot of different tools and a lot of different places. You don't have to just go to one. There's plenty of different things. There's also GoToMeeting and things like that. So there's also a service called TechSoup. And what they do is it's almost like Expedia for online resources. You can get discounts via TechSoup on different online tools and platforms. So one of those things here is on DocuSign. So if you've ever sold a home or anything like that, your real estate agent probably sent you documents to sign via DocuSign. So you could just scroll on your phone and sign your signature there. This is that software, that platform, DocuSign. So you can send you can send and receive documents and get signatures that work with compliance. So you don't have to. You're not going to run into any problems where someone says that didn't count. That is a widely used resource, actually. Some other e-sign resources: HelloSign.com. They have a platform that will allow you to get things signed. Unfortunately, that's just part of the nature of what we do, as we're trying to track people and track their income and their getting the information on them that we need to provide them with services. And so you've got to have signatures from time to time. And so these are some online options as well. So Conga.com as well. So by now, we are a few weeks into this and beginning to recognize that it's going to be a part of our world for maybe longer than we all wanted. And so we have a need to, if we haven't already, think ahead to what we're going to face. All right. And so I want to encourage you all. I want you to think ahead with your board policies. If you have a staff that you're trying to figure out how to pay in the midst of a shutdown, where you can't have all your caseworkers in, or you can't have your receptionist has nothing to do because nobody's coming into the office because you've locked the doors and are trying to conduct your services in other ways. If you don't have in place a policy or something in your bylaws that states how you will function in this kind of way, if you're going to send staff home, if you're going to furlough them, things like that. If you don't have a policy in place, that's going to limit you in what you're able to do for your staff. Really, it's as simple as getting your board together and putting a policy in place for COVID-19 response in regard to staffing or conducting services. If you have questions about that policy, what will be okay in that policy, what won't be okay, you can feel free to reach out to myself or Sarah with CSP. We will absolutely answer your questions. And if we don't have an answer, we will work hard to find that answer and get it back to you quickly. But I want to encourage you to be thinking ahead as to what might come. It could be that by the end of April, we are back to business as usual. We can open up our doors and everything is back to normal. But it's also entirely possible that this isn't over and we have months that we have to work this way. So if you plan ahead for what you're facing, that'll help. I also want to encourage you to take an as it comes approach. While you want to have a policy in place, you also don't want to enact a policy that will change business for you for a long period of time when you really only need a short period of time. Take it as it comes. Send folks home for 2 weeks, or if that's what you need to do, and you send your staff home. Do it for a couple of weeks and revisit it. You can always extend a policy if you need to, but you can't always shrink things back. So make sure that you take an as it comes approach to what you're doing. With the need to augment things, sometimes we are so used to doing what we do in a certain way that it pays to actually walk through a process that folks would walk through. So if you have clients who come through your doors or clients that are trying to get information to you remotely, walk through the process that you have in place from their perspective. Maybe have somebody who's never walked through the process and hasn't set up the process that's in your office, or a friend or something, walk through your intake. What does it take for them to get information to you, for you to get the stuff that you need to provide services? Walk through it from the client's perspective, or have somebody walk through it from the client's perspective so that you can get new eyes on it. If you look at the same thing that you've been looking at from the same perspective, you're not going to find anything new. But if you look at it from a different perspective, you're going to see things you've never seen before. Imagine that you have watched a movie 1,000 times, and every time you watch it, you're with the same group of friends on the same couch and in the same room. Eventually, you get bored of looking at it, and while you can quote it word for word, you're not picking up on all the little things, because in your mind, whether consciously or unconsciously, you believe that you've seen it all. But if you change the setting, and maybe you're showing a movie to somebody who's never seen it that you value, you might actually pick up things that you've never seen before. All it takes is a change in perspective for you to be able to do that. It'll actually help you a great deal, even going forward outside of COVID. You'll be able to think of new ways to operate because you've approached things from a different perspective. While our reporting and things like that is pretty much set in stone, we have guidelines that we follow, and CAP 60 and platforms that we use to track information and those kind of things. Sometimes figuring out our intake and figuring out what services are there is going to change as we are interacting with people in new ways. Our perspective changes, and so our solutions need to change. So think through that as well. So no doubt, as all of this is going on, there's still business as usual, and things that you have to do going forward that is not your typical, or you're not shut down. These are your typical things that you've got to do, but it's changing how you get those things done because of the situations we find ourselves in. And so you're just going to need support. And so I want to encourage you to reach out to myself or Sarah with your questions for training and technical assistance and writing new policies and things like that. As you are no doubt aware, what you are dealing with is unprecedented. What we're dealing with is unprecedented. The federal government, and if you know me at all, you know that I don't offer them praise often, but the relief packages that they're putting out and moving the poverty line from 125% to 200%, and allowing affidavits for income statements and things like that. They're trying to get help to people who didn't previously need it. We had, I think, 10 million or 12 million unemployment requests last week, and another 6 million have come out this week. It is the flood of people in need is on. There is no stemming this tide. It is just going to be this way for a while. While we may be out of the COVID woods in the next 6 weeks, the damage to our economy is going to last much longer. It's, in fact, just today I heard that that Congress is actually working on another stimulus package. I don't know that it will impact CSBG or that they'll increase funding more than the $1 billion that they are adding to it. But you need to know that it is going to, the flood is already here. One of the things that I want to encourage you to do, as we haven't seen in Wyoming yet, the funds, and I don't think anybody has seen those funds come out yet. That's going to be, who knows? It's bureaucracy. We don't have any idea how long that's going to take. We're waiting on OCS for guidance as well. So there's still things that are in the works that it's just going to take some time on. And I don't have a time frame for you. But I do know when the funds come, our partners at NASCASP, that's the National Association of Community Service Programs, and NCAP, National Community Action Partnership, they're encouraging us to track our funds differently, but spending them in the same at the same time. So you're going to have to track the expenditures that come in from the bump that CSBG is getting, the second allotment, as it were. It'll be a different contract, and it'll be a separate pile of money, but don't exhaust one and then go to the other. You can spend them both at the same time. And as those things come through, doing it that way and as one pot for you, it is actually going to help you to report things as they come. It won't make it as muddy. More guidance, of course, will come out on that as we get closer to it, and hopefully that'll come soon. Jim Hissong is letting us know that the dollar store actually has some things that you can utilize for PPE as well. I actually don't believe Jim very much, though. I think he's just trying to fly fish. But if you know Jim, you know that I'm telling you the truth. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and so that we can actually have a little bit of a conversation regarding this. I'm sure that some of you probably have with you some ideas and things that you have done that have made it possible for you to do work that maybe I didn't touch on. And so I'm going to go ahead and find out how to unmute you all. Go ahead, and as I unmute you, if you don't have anything to share, you can go ahead and remute yourself, but this way you have control over that, not just me. But does anybody have some tips or tools or things that they've been doing as we've been going through this process that has been helpful for you?
I think for us, I've been anticipating the rush that hasn't come yet. I moved everything to where they could do it completely online, and actually some customers have done that and appreciated it. It was a process I've been looking at, and this kind of just pushed it forward. But we're using job forms, and it actually has a signature widget so they can sign right in it. And then I hook it up with a Google Drive that's specified to our organization, and then all their uploads get saved into a folder for them as well. And so that's working out pretty well for us. I think really it's just we're all waiting and anticipating what's to come. I kind of expected that the 1st of April, when the first rent checks came due, that we would see a lot. I really haven't yet. So I'm trying to calculate, how many people could we help? And when you look at what the federal government might give us in a supplement, you really kind of break it down. If you start paying full month's rent, it's not going to last very long. So there's still going to be more work to be done.
Thank you, Kyle. Absolutely. The really difficult thing about where we find ourselves as a nation and as community action agencies is that we don't know when or if a flood will come. We don't know what the needs are going to be. We can anticipate them and plan for them, but the strain on our resources is real in a normal course of operating. So the strain will absolutely increase. So you have to think that through.
I think a part of the challenge for my staff, because in my organization, we've been working really hard to get our mindset wrapped around case management, to where even when we're kind of providing emergency services, they're starting to ask the right questions about making payment arrangements. Can you have conversations with landlords? And now I'm telling them, okay, I realize that you want to ask some of these questions, but what you're trying to address, they can't find income. There are no jobs. They can't go look for a job. They can sign up for unemployment. They can do these benefits. But all of those things that you might normally work towards, right now, we're wanting to make sure people have shelter. That's our responsibility. Yep. And so it's kind of hard for them, because now all of a sudden they're shifting back. And so that's kind of a process we've had to go through, is just kind of recognizing what our purpose is in this.
You know, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, but one of the tools that is out there, there are some really cool tutorials and kind of this is how we did it videos on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and search up COVID-19 response, and you'll actually find some videos and resources of folks who have, been utilizing different services and different ways of doing things, and have maybe thought through some of the things you're thinking through. So there's some more resources out there as well. I, for one, love a waist up meeting because it's a lot more comfortable. But there's a benefit to doing these things. There's a benefit to doing remote meetings that keeps your team together, it keeps your staff together, and helps you to realize you're all part of it and you're all in it together. So what other tools or resources have folks been using, maybe tricks that you came up with that have been beneficial for your staff and your agency? Jim is telling everyone to shower, which does help. Get up, take a shower, be ready to go, and it makes a difference for sure. It makes a difference, absolutely. We did a call, and I said this before we started our webinar to the folks who were early. But what we did on Tuesday is we did a Q&A between Sarah and myself, CSP and CSNO, and just kind of answering questions that folks may have had. And we had some idea sharing going on as well on that. And I've posted that to our YouTube page, the video of that conference call. And so you can go to the CSNO YouTube page. I'll send the link out later today. But that'll include that conversation. There was a lot of good information from CSP and other agencies in our state in what they're doing, and tips and tools for that as well. So, well, I hope that this was beneficial. Again, I'm going to send out all of these slides. There is a lot on there, and I went through it fast, hoping that you could take some of that in and still have for yourself we could have some discussion if there was anything. But if anybody, if folks don't have any more tips or questions, does anybody have any questions based on what we talked about? Okay. Again, this stuff's going to go out. If you have any other ideas or things that you've utilized, I try to keep these things as short as I can. I don't want to be long-winded. I mark out an hour for webinars and calls and things like that so that we have enough time, but I try to keep them condensed. That's just free calendar time, so if we go over, we have room. So let me know if you need anything. I am happy to help you in any way I can. And Sarah and I are working really closely in this time. And so if there's anything that we can do, let us know. I hope that you are all safe and enjoy the sun before it goes away and we have snow again. Keep washing your hands and staying safe. You guys are all, every single one of you is a benefit to the human race. What you're doing is helping people, and I'm grateful for it. I really mean that. The world is better because of the folks who work in community action. So be well, and I hope that you have a great end of your week and weekend. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.